YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and not without some effort, it has taken me to get you another Total War Rome 2 online battle that might be fun to watch. I've noticed that a lot of players now either seem new or inexperienced. It makes me wonder if the sales and stuff and the price of Rome 2 dropping over time has helped draw in new players. The multiplayer scene was actually fairly active tonight, considering it was a late night on a weeknight. But still made it difficult to maybe find a battle I hoped y'all would like. Now this one I have a Parthian teammate helping me against a Suebi and a Roman opponent. I don't know that my army was particularly well chosen, so I don't know that any army in this battle is going to have been particularly well chosen. So there are some knight hunters for the Suebi hidden out here up front. My army is pretty simple: 4 mercenary Gallic warriors, 4 Libyan infantry, 1 mercenary noble fighter, 2 mercenary Scutari on this flank. And then I've got 4 Carthaginian cav, a general's bodyguard, and 1 African war elephant. My Parthian teammate has this royal cataphract. He's got a couple of noble horse archers, which is an odd pick. Some noble blood cav. Yes, it's 2 royal cataphracts. His general is an eastern scorpion. Not quite sure how he pulled that one off. And then he's got some mercenary Gallic warriors and some hillmen and Parthian swordsmen. He's just got a very odd army. At least from what I've been used to seeing in multiplayer. Now I get kind of cheeky here trying to get some javelins on the Suebi's Riders of the Hunt. So I believe in total there's 4 Knight Raiders out here. The Roman player has just absolutely tanked out on skirmishers. I want to say they have 5 or 6. So it's going to be either 2 and 3 of the, so there's a ton of skirmishers in the enemy team. I have a rush army, so this is either going to go very well or very poorly. The Parthian player has a I don't know what it is army. But then the Romans and the Suebi kind of have an odd army too. Now I do know that there's a couple of Suebi swordmasters, and there's also going to be a couple of berserkers. But the Roman infantry is very weak. They've brought 3 Triarii, primarily maybe to deal with Parthia, but it's going to make them very vulnerable to my sword rush. And the Suebi they don't have a lot of staying power. They hit hard, and if they can't finish the fight, then they're going to lose it. So here up front, I'm just going to feint with my Iberian cav, hopefully just pushing back his skirmishers for just a minute. I want to use my mercenary Gallic warriors to some decent effect against his hastati, which I should have the opportunity to do here, and I was also giving my infantry a moment to catch up as they are lagging a little. This battle lagged in general, but right now the reason why I'm a little bit behind on micro is because back here I'm trying to help kill all these Roman cavalry. There's some auxiliary cav and an equite, 2 equites, 2 auxiliary cav. They get way out of position, so I want to help the Parthian kill them while we have the opportunity. And then over here I have charged the hastati. Gallic warriors do quite good versus the hastati on the charge, though over time the hastati are more tanky. But you can see that the Roman skirmishers are just shooting straight into the backs of their own men with little care about how many of their own men they kill, and it's quite a few. My guys are going to hurl their javelins. This hastati gets completely wrecked, and I'm going to charge them with the mercenary noble fighter and let it wreck them. And then he's moving in with Triarii. I've engaged his Triarii out here with Scutari, which is going to do very well versus them, unless the Roman does something. Here I just avoid the Riders of the Hunt and all these skirmishers because they're too close for comfort. So you can see that I kind of just peel my cavalry back and around, trying to lure the Suebi player into a less than ideal scenario. So yeah, you can see me. I'm going to keep pulling my cav back, just luring them on in. Back here we managed to kill quite a bit of Roman cavalry, but they start to run away, so I pull away. There's 2 Riders of the Hunt back here as well. We don't want all that cavalry in our backlines, but the Parthians doing a good job at keeping them at bay. Here I make some stupid mistake. I was going to cav feint here, and I just pull up and get completely javelined, so that was absolutely stupid. And here, my Scutari, we're actually winning this fight, but now that all the skirmishers are going to start firing in, they will actually even that out in the favor of the Triarii, because the Triarii will take less losses than my own men. It doesn't make much sense, because they have to shoot through the back of Triarii, but that's just how it works. The friendly fire penalty in Rome 2 is not quite as severe as it is in Attila. These Gallic warriors did a great job holding up front, and now my Parthian teammate decides, hey, I'm just going to come up here and pin the Romans. That works great for me, because now this is going to allow me to split my infantry out and around, and to go put some pressure on these Knight Raiders, or Knight Hunters, who are guarding all these skirmishers. Because if I can get to those skirmishers, this is a game over. And that's the danger of bringing a heavy skirmish army, and someone else bringing a rush army. If you are not able to use your skirmishers to good effect, then you will indeed lose. This Hastati decides it wants to get a cheeky rear charge. Those Scutari are going to lose anyway, but then the Hastati ends up getting massacred by the rear charge of my Carthaginian cav. And I'm going to peel this swordsman over here, fall back with my cav, kind of do a bait and switch, so that we can get these Knight Hunters off my tail over here. And I'm kind of just holding back in the center. The Romans should be firing ferociously at my noble fighters. That should be their first target. I've already got 188 kills with the noble fighters. I'm going to push their skirmishers here, knowing that I probably can't stay in this engagement for long. And then that'll allow my noble fighters to get in closer to potentially get into combat. And then I can use other units like this to swing out and keep trying to put pressure on the enemy skirmishers. And then I want to swing all the way around and put pressure over here. We've managed to destroy the Roman cavalry back here with a combination of mercenary Gallic warriors and Carthaginian cav, along with Parthian cavalry. We even have some royal cataphracts back here that mopped up some riders of the hunt. So the Knight Raiders would have been good in the support of that type of fight rather than up here in a frontline fight. My general gets a quick rear charge on these Hastati and racks up a lot of kills in the process, really ratcheting up the kills there. And I used my Iberian cav here as a sacrifice just to kind of keep these units away from me for just a moment. But now the Germans and the Romans are making good on what I said they should be doing, which is shooting my noble fighters, which is unfortunate because I want a lot more kills with those guys. But you can see my general is kind of in here pushing these guys around. And my elephants I'm just holding in reserve for late game. There's no need to bring my elephants anywhere near this ball of skirmishers. This fight is quite under control at the moment, and we might as well just save the elephants, like I said, to be a late game tool. Cataphracts, elephants, all those things are absolutely devastating units in the late game if you get rid of enemy cavalry. And that's precisely what we have done so far. These Riders of the Hunt is dead. Basically all the Roman cavalry is off the battlefield. Yeah, you can see here that the Triarii are failing against my Scutari. Lots of shots coming in here from Roman skirmishers. They are going to get a few kills, but here I've swung around, and now these guys are going to start getting in trouble. I'm going to pin them from infantry here, pin the Knight Hunters, and then swing around and get another Carthaginian cav. So we're basically going to create a big pinned-up ball of skirmishers right here. And a couple of the longbow hunters are free from this, but it won't be enough to affect this fight entirely. You can see my, well, I'll leave the flags on so you can tell what's going on. You can see my Carthaginian cavalry in here getting these guys, my Libyan infantry pinning them from the other side, so these skirmishers are having to run away, and they're taking massive losses in the process. They are bringing in a sword master, trying to get to my Carthaginian cav, and it will kill some of them. But at this point, I'm getting so many skirmisher kills on extremely high value skirmishers that my Carthaginian cav is going to pay for itself several times over. And then, like I said, now my elephants, now that there's maybe a little more safety, they can move up. There's still some longbow hunters, so you're going to see me still kind of just hanging around back here out of their range until I can pressure them with some cavalry, which is going to be my general here. So I can use these Libyan infantry to push back the Suebi general, use my own general to pressure their skirmishers, and then bring my elephants on around the flank. So that's going to be going well for me. These fights with sword masters and stuff, obviously not going to go so well for me, but since the sword masters didn't get a charge, that fight will last a while. And again, it's going to allow my cavalry to continue this skirmisher massacre, which has been proceeding quite nicely. This unit, 145 kills. And I've got other Carthaginian cav around that are doing plenty well. I can now pressure the Suebi longbow hunters with my elephants. They won't be able to turn and fire and do enough damage. And then my general is scooting out here as well. There are still some skirmishers around though, so this cavalry obviously going to come in here and silence the Assyrian archers. And then my mercenary Gallic warriors are back from that flank fight with all the Roman cav. See the Parthian just sitting here duking it out with one unit of Triarii the whole time. Not a real efficient use of their units, but I was able to take advantage of both the Roman and the Suebi player kind of at the same time here. So yeah, my elephants are going to kill that longbow hunter. Not typical to see an elephant wrecking a skirmish unit, but it's going to be the case here because the longbow hunters have to try and run away. And so my elephants will eventually catch them and start doing this, which is just trampling over their men. So my elephants will kill that unit. Like I said, out here in the main fight here, I'm going to have some Gallic warriors take on this round shield swordsman. My mercenary Gallic warriors are pretty tired. Kind of a lightweight combat here between round shield swordsmen, which is funny because the round shield swordsmen actually have a rectangular shield. So kind of an odd name. Yeah. Over here, my Libyan infantry have done quite well. They've killed a lot of spearmen. This Wodenaz spear, though, is presenting a more difficult challenge to them. And then over here, I'm going to get this Swordmaster surrounded, though it's still going to do exceedingly well in that combat. Carthaginian cav up to 225 kills. My general finally dies over here, but it's not enough to break the morale of my men. My elephants have racked up 130 bow kills. So pretty awesome to see elephants getting kills on bows and not being themselves killed. These Syrian archers are now having to flee from my Carthaginian cav, which is going to give pursuit. So you should see me, I'm probably, yeah, there I go, issue the attack order. This Suebi Swordmaster was in a wedge formation, which was quite odd, and it got caught from behind by my swordsman. So I'm going to get more kills here than I deserve. This Libyan infantry has racked up 279 kills. That is very impressive for Libyan infantry. The Roman general attempts to stop my elephants, and these few remaining longbow hunters over here are opening up with flaming shot, but flaming shot at this point won't be enough to run my elephants berserk. You can see it is dropping their morale, and the general's dead. So the flaming arrows are kind of dangerous from that standpoint. My Carthaginian cav, I gave him an attack order over here, and it looks like they failed to pull out. So I'm actually probably causing them to get killed here because they're being attacked in the rear. My elephants are going to get in here and start wrecking swordmasters who attempt to go into a quick shield wall, but they're attacked in the rear and then attacked in the front by elephants. So this is going to be a very short fight for the swordmasters. They're going to get completely wrecked. And then there's some more Parthian cavalry coming in there too, just to kind of deliver the ceiling on that. So yeah, my elephants actually end up racking up a pretty decent number of kills, though they weren't pivotal in the battle. I think my infantry and cavalry did a lot of that work. So again, a very risky army on the part of the Romans to bring 6 skirmishers. The Suebi army probably just had too much spearmen, but I think since they were up against Parthia, they were both thinking, okay, bring plenty of skirmishers, bring plenty of spearmen, but I think they completely forgot about the fact that Carthage can bring a lot of swords, and they're not a particularly dangerous sword faction per se, but they're not a really weak one either. So Libyan infantry and other stuff are not great, but they're not bad, and they have shield wall. Carthaginian cavalry is, again, not fantastic, but it's what it lacks in pure like heavy hitting power. It's going to make up for in cost. And then again, the mercenary Gallic warriors are a pretty nice touch to the Carthaginian roster. And then the mercenary noble fighters can be downright deadly depending on what they're facing. They will not do well against heavier barbarian type units like an Oathsworn, or I wouldn't even want to use them against, say, like a... Oh crap, it's been so long since I played Rome Total War, I can't remember the Bowiai's infantry unit. Whatever they are, those one guys that have ridiculous stats. So anyway, yeah, you can see there I got a pretty good number of kills. Everything ended up going well for me. What is it I'm thinking of here? I'm gonna have to go in here and look at the Bowiai now. Sword followers, that's what it is. Yeah, I wouldn't want to use the mercenary noble fighters against these guys. The main reason is these units, yeah, heavy melee infantry, and then like the Oathsworn is very heavy melee infantry. And if we go take a look, the Carthage, these noble fighters, well, they are very heavy. That's true, but I'm thinking there's a difference down here on the armor, maybe? 75 armor? Let's see. It seems like the noble fighters are not a good matchup versus Oathsworn, if I remember right. And let's take a look. Let's grab the Bowiai. And, yeah, the armor's bigger on the Oathsworn, and their melee defense looks like it's higher. Considerably higher. So yeah, the noble fighters have a 38 charge. I think it's marginally better than an Oathsworn. Yeah, just barely. But you're certainly not going to make up for that huge lack of melee defense and the extra armor. That's where the Oathsworn's going to get you every time. And then it's 45 weapon damage as opposed to 41 weapon damage here. Even though the noble fighters do have a better melee attack, you won't overcome those things. The lack of armor is sometimes decisive, and in that case it would be. Also, I don't believe the noble fighters have a shield wall. They do not, so the Oathsworn also have that to hold over their head. But Carthage has access to a lot of different swords. Again, none of them are extreme powerhouses, but like the Samnite warriors, very defensive, very high armor. Scutari have a decent attack and can sometimes be a successful flanking unit, though I feel like the Scutari should get a better charge bonus. which is unfortunate they don't. The mercenary Italian swordsmen kind of give you like a Hastati type unit, though I don't find them to be quite as good as Hastati. Really, the Iberian swordsmen are a great sword unit for Carthage. All the javelins they have can really help wreck up cavalry or elephants, so it makes them a very versatile unit. And then the mercenary Gallic warriors really help Carthage against a faction like Rome. They can help get rid of Hastati. And Hastati are great meat shields against better swordsmen, say like these mercenary Samnite, or the noble fighters. Obviously, where Carthage is pretty lackluster is in cavalry. They have some interesting cav choices, ones that are very fun on campaign, but are trickier to use in multiplayer, like the mercenary Numidian noble cav. Very cool unit, very elite javelins, but difficult to use in multiplayer sometimes, and very expensive. Campanian cav is very deadly, and you get these guys into the back of an enemy unit, and again, a very dangerous unit. The problem is their price makes them prohibitive. Some people want them to have a bonus versus infantry. I don't even think that's necessary. If you just made them affordable for what they actually can do, then it would make sense, and they would actually serve a purpose in the game. In fact, a lot of people want to see bonuses versus infantry brought back to melee cav in Rome 2, and I don't really think that any of that's necessary whatsoever. I actually kind of think cavalry plays out pretty nicely in Rome 2. It is a little bit underpowered versus what infantry can do in the game, but if you came back through and rebalanced a few things, like for instance taking away the javelins on the very cheap units like the Celtic warriors and the Levy freemen, it would pretty much rebalance cavalry back into the game, because then those units wouldn't be able to hurl the javelins so effectively at cavalry. And so, I mean, I think that if you just did that, it would pretty much negate people's desire to see like a bonus versus infantry. I don't want to see Rome 2 be like Attila in the sense that you just see cavalry being haphazardly wrecked into the front of infantry units with instant destructive effects. That really is something that's irritated me about Attila. I do like the fact that shock cavalry can kind of wreck like that, but it's like no amount of bracing really can hardly save you from that kind of stuff, so it just seems a little too much. But yeah, I mean, I think the sword cavalry would have more identity if they would just drop the price, and then that would help Syracuse and Carthage and Macedon and others who have sword cavalry units to really be able to use them to some good effect. Hope you all enjoyed this. Definitely enjoying my time in Rome 2. There is a patch coming soon. Some of you have asked me about it. Yes, I have seen it. I'm kind of waiting until the beta is over so I can cover it in an actual video rather than just talking about a patch beta, but there are some interesting changes coming. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.